Call order, can I get, we don't need roll call, do we?
Yes, we do, Mayor.
Okay, it's not on the agenda, okay. Good, can I get roll call, please?
Mayor Gerardo Sanchez,
Present.
Vice Mayor Africa Luna Carrasco,
Present.
Councilmember Mario Buchanan Jr.,
Present.
Councilmember Luis Cabrera,
Present.
Councilmember Jose Ponce,
Present.
Councilmember Matias Rosales,
Present.
Councilmember Gloria Torres.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. We're gonna go ahead and go with, this is a discussion, these are discussion items and no action will be taken. Item number 2A, discussion in all matters regarding the proposed, changes to the City of San Luis benefits plan for the fiscal year 2021-2022, presented by Ms. Susan Posada, City of San Luis benefits consultant, and proceed.
Okay. Sonia, am I sharing the screen?
Now you can share your screen, Susan.
Okay, let me go back and share it again. Okay. Thank you.
Always nice to see everyone. Hi, Susan.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Mayor, council, staff, thank you for allowing me to be here today. I really appreciate seeing all of you. I know it's been a tough year for everybody, so I'll make this quick. I know everyone wants to get home to their families. We've reviewed the health plan, the medical and the dental, and all of the benefits for the employees for the coming year. We've reviewed them with the trust. And there's a few things that I'd like to go over with all of you. For some reason, this is not working. Okay. Before I get started, I want to talk about, this is not working. Okay. Okay. So before I get there, I wanted to let you know that in the last year, during COVID started in March of last year, as all of you know, but we had an increase of members of, and it's not on this slide, for some reason it's not showing up, but we had an increase. This should be, I'm sorry, this shows 3, but for some reason the computer's not showing number 2. Okay, here we go. There we go. It's now showing that slide. This particular slide, I thought was very important for everyone to see because in the last year, right, we did our open enrollment during April, at the latter part of April. And that's when the pandemic was very prevalent. And what we saw was an increase, quite an increase in the number of family members, or what we call belly buttons, the number of people that we have to insure. So that adds to our risk and the number of people that we have to insure every year. With the changes in with the Biden administration, I anticipate that this will go back down again because more of those family members will be eligible for access. So I think this was a fear factor for many of the members that were afraid of what was happening with COVID, and many of them jumped onto the plan. And I expect this coming year, either they stay one more year and then the following year they'll come off, but many of them will qualify for access. One of the things that we take a look at, and one of the cost factors in the medical plan, is the network fees, because we pay Blue Cross and Blue Shield to buy their providers in their hospitals. And this year, our renewal came in a little bit higher than what we anticipated. We were at $17.50 per member per month, and they increased it for a 2-year renewal for $19.25 per member per month. And One of the things, though, that I must mention is that we were way below. Right now, the average is about 21 to 24%. So we still continue to be below the average of what they're charging. And with the new management with Blue Cross and Blue Shield, they want to get this rate back up. So that was one of the fees that went up 15%. I want to talk about the stop loss because this is really important. This year, we're really struggling with the claims. The last 3 to 4 years, we've had really, really good claims. Impressive. This year is one of those years that we planned for a rainy day. And right now, for the 9 months ending March, we're at 91% of what we expected the claims to be for the full year. But I want to talk about what the stop loss includes, because most everyone thinks that what we have is just a stop loss coverage of $50,000. So in other words, for every individual who reaches the $50,000, whether it's medical or the medication, the pharmacy, once they reach the $50,000 in claims, then the stop loss carrier will pay us anything above that $50,000. We've reached it in several situations. We expect to reach it by the end of the year with several situations due to COVID. It's going to be a crazy year. But here is the one area that I think that most people don't know about, because it really doesn't cost us anything. It's called aggregate coverage, and it protects the entire group. So we have first the stop loss of $50,000, but then secondly, we have what is called aggregate coverage. The aggregate means everybody in the group. If everybody gets sick or the claims are overall pretty high, then they additionally pay for additional coverage up to $1 million. So right now we're at 91%. So the moment that we exceed this 125%, anything above that 125%, let's say we, by the end of the year, reach 150%, and that 150% is $250,000, we will get reimbursed $250,000 for overall claim, okay? And that becomes important in just a few minutes. It is calculated by what we call projected maximum funding, and I'll talk about it in just a few minutes. The fees that go inside the plan, the EBSO fees did not increase. The one thing that did increase was the claims management fee, and that's a third-party administrator. It's not EBSO, they have to contract with. And the claims management is basically if someone's in the hospital or someone has a major medical condition, then the claims management meets with the hospital, talks to the patient to try to coordinate the care for that particular individual. In this case, we have had a number of claims management situations this year due to the COVID. So that particular increase came in at 2.8%. CereMed remained the same. The broker fees remained the same. The one that did increase was, which I mentioned earlier, is Blue Cross Blue Shield increased, okay? Now, this is a really, really ugly chart, but it's an important one. So just 2 days ago, we came in with a renewal from Symetra. Symetra is the company that insures us. And I was pleasantly surprised that they came in on the stop loss portion. Remember, I said there were two parts. On the stop loss portion, they came in at 9.33%. We did a quote or a bid with another carrier that's not as good contractually as Symetra is, and they came in at 18%. So what we got from Symetro was really good. And I think that Symetro understands our claims, so they're very happy with that. But here is where we got hit pretty hard, is this 27%. We were at 29%. We were able to bring them down to 27. Now, that doesn't cost us anything, okay? That 27% doesn't cost us anything. But this is what it means. This is how they calculate how much we're going to get above that 125% that I was talking about, okay? So this is not a cost. This is how they calculate. So in other words, what they're saying to us is we expect these COVID claims to continue for the next year, and we don't want to have to pay you the aggregate. So we're increasing the amount of the claims calculation so that we don't have to pay you in that area. Okay, so this is where we got hit. But other than that, what really comes out of our pocket is this 9.3%. So this is really good, very good. We anticipated it. We have actually, the trust, we've talked about this in the trust a number of times of how we've done very well the last 4 years. So we've been able to stockpile a little bit of money for a rainy day. And so we've been extremely lucky that this year I anticipate we're gonna get hit hard, okay? But we're prepared for it. We don't anticipate that it's going to do major damage because the fund is healthy. Consequently, and I'm going to talk about it in just a few minutes, consequently, I am not making any recommendations that we change the contributions of the amount that the city pays for each employee. And what that means to the city is about, just for the medical and the dental, it's about $300,000 savings to your budget. If not, if we had had a 10% increase in the medical and, you know, another 10% in the dental, we would be closer to a 300,000 request from you to increase the budget to fund the trust. But we're not asking for that. And the reason we're not asking for that is because we have prepared for this rainy day, okay? So one of the things that we are recommending is that we add an additional element of HealthySU. Right now, we added HealthySU a number of years ago, and HealthySU is a teledoc that people can call in, and it came in superbly for this year. It's the utilization. Is there an echo? All of a sudden, there's an echo.
Someone logged in. Everyone, if you're not speaking, could you please put your mic on mute, please? Thank you. Proceed, Susan.
Thank you. Okay, so the usage this last year, especially because of COVID, was tremendous. People were using it. They were calling their doctors, getting medication. It was just phenomenal. And when we looked at the trends, we saw that members were calling in on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And we think it's because, you know, members are not working on Friday, but also because some of the urgent centers are not available, you know, at night. So we think that's been a great benefit to the members. It's just been phenomenal. We paid $24,576 for that. So far, just this 1 year, we've seen the savings of $47,000. So it's paying for itself. One of the things that I've been asked for year after year after year has been for nutrition, because nutrition counseling of some sort really does help members reduce some of the medical conditions that they have. So we considered adding what we call a bundle with HealthySU. And one of the things that's happening in the industry, as you guys know, is that more and more people are going to this virtual like we are right now. And people are feeling more and more comfortable. So by adding this additional bundle, originally the cost of the bundle was $15. We were able to negotiate it down to $13 after the last trust meeting. So it saved us an additional $6,000. And this bundle, what it does is it includes the general medicine, which we already have. It'll add mental health. So they can go to a licensed psychiatrist, therapist, and call in and make appointments with these providers and have regular meetings with them. And they have Spanish speaking. They have dermatology, but that is app-oriented. So I have psoriasis. So all you have to do is, for instance, take a picture of whatever it is that's ailing you on your skin, send the picture in, someone will contact you, and they can prescribe medication from there. On the mental health, they also have medication that they can prescribe and send it directly to the pharmacy, okay? They have also neck and back care, and it's all virtual. So if they see a picture of you and you're crooked a certain way, they may, or you have a certain condition that's already been prescribed by a doctor, they might work with you on that particular care. But here's the big one that many of them have been asking for, the nutrition. And so the members can go in and register with the nutrition. A nutrition will work with the member or the family member. And what they will do is they will actually do a shopping guide for them to go shopping and work with them however they decide they're going to work together to have some form of nutrition program. So this is all done virtual, and it is a great program for the city and for the members. And one of the good things about HealthySU, and I'll leave it at this, is that whether you're on the plan or not, you can use this. So let's say your spouse is not on the plan, you can be added to this and you can use the HealthySU services. It's unlimited, it's zero copay, zero visits, and we pay a total of $39,000 a year. The cost difference to us is $15,000. And we're hoping that one of the other cities had saved $116,000. We're hoping that in a couple of years that savings will be realized. I don't anticipate that the savings will be there the first year. Okay, any questions?
Susan, that is just amazing, and especially the time of COVID. And yeah, I've been looking at those numbers, and it is a savings. At first, I was a little hesitant when we were saying $15 a member, but thank you for being able to negotiate the $13. It really makes a difference. $6,000 does make a difference. And the thing is, the wonderful thing about this, it's zero copay. And we can add, for example, non-existent members, like a wife or a spouse, significant other. And this is really good. And that's true. Everything is a lot of psychiatrists are going telemedicine. A lot of specialists are going telemedicine because of COVID, and people are getting used to it. And actually, some people actually ask for it because they could be at home, they could be at work, and they can call the doctor's office and actually get the prescriptions they need, or get the test ordered, get the COVID test ordered. So thank you for bringing this up, and it's really a good project. The teledoc is amazing, and you can call them anywhere. You can be at Disneyland, your child develops a fever, and the thing is, and you send a picture of his throat, and sure enough, could be strep throat. Then he could fax over or send over via electronically a prescription of antibiotics for your kid, even in Disneyland. So good job. Thank you, Susan.
This is the only thing that we added to the medical plan. We'll talk about one other thing that we added, which was the basic life, but this is the only thing that we added. to the basic life. We also have what is called the EAP, which offers 6 visits per employee. Now, I think Human Resources wanted to continue with this for another year because members are used to it, and it costs us about $6,600 a year. But once we get members transitioned over and using the mental health, then we can actually do away with this. We can eliminate this cost. But what we need to do is get this transitioned. Possibly next year, get rid of it if we need to, okay? Okay, one other thing that we did recommend is that during COVID, we had 1 death, but throughout the industry, we're beginning to see, you know, whether someone dies, the expense for that person is the same no matter whether you make, you know, high dollars or low dollars. It doesn't really matter. And right now, the way our, the basic life that the city pays for is one-time salary up to $50,000. So we did an analysis with HR and asked them how many people would be impacted by this. And there were a number of people. The average salary was that we eliminated everyone over 50,000, but the average salary after eliminating those people was 36,000. So if someone passes, we want to make sure that they have good coverage, that we pass that on to the family. But you know, the good thing about this though, is that it's very reasonable. It's very reasonable. The cost to increase for the additional coverage is $6,300.66 per year. I did review this with Monica in accounting, and all I'm asking this year, I'm not asking for any other budget increase except for this $6,366 for the employee. Any questions about that?
No questions. I have a question.
I threw this in here. I'm not going to go over into a lot of detail because here's the thing. On the medical plan last year, we made a tremendous amount of changes. You know, when you make changes, most of the changes that we made were positive for the employee. There was really no reason to make any changes this year. It's sitting well. We didn't have any complaints. Everything was doing well. So there are no changes. But here's what we did do. We made sure that, you know, the vaccines are included because those are required. The testing, we were able to negotiate and work with the San Luis Clinic very early to try to get some of those fire, police, and public safety vaccinated. We had 60 initially that had not been vaccinated, so we got those vaccinated. In addition to that, I think we had another round of another 60, and then we had another round of 40. So we wanted to make sure that we included everybody in the vaccine immediately. And then as it relates to the Mexico plan, here's what happened with the Mexico plan, and we moved very quickly. When President Trump decided to close the border, it was not really a closure, but it was a closure. So we were afraid that members were not going to be able to get medical care in Mexico. The one thing that we did was change our contract so that everyone can get telemedicine, whether it's Mexico or the US. So Mexico, US, everybody can call their doctor. You can call your doctor in the US, not just HealthySU. I'm talking about your regular doctor. You can call your doctor and schedule a teledoc appointment with them. We also, during that time, scheduled, because the Mexico members were not covered for the vaccine or the testing initially. So we were able to get the testing done in San Luis We moved very quickly to get that approved with the trust. We got the vaccine, we got the testing done, and we have it such that if there ever is a pandemic, we can move to allow members to use the San Luis clinic if they needed to. But I think we're covered in every aspect. The plans are working beautifully. There is no need to change what we've already done to the plan. Any questions about that?
No, Susan, I just like to comment that thank you, and I'm really grateful for the benefits board for actually thinking ahead and preparing and actually looking for the vaccines prior, because there was a lot of government agencies that actually were not being vaccinated. And the thing is, it's a service that we provided, the city provided to our employees, especially our first responders, and that was key. That has been key. And so our firefighters, our staff have been, were vaccinated before other municipalities were vaccinated. And the other thing is, a lot of insurance companies didn't know how to react to the telemedicine. And so as a provider, we were having difficulty with some insurance companies, if they're going to cover or not cover. I know they had to cover, but how they would cover it. We were really on it. You were really on it in regard to telemedicine, in regards to all that was required. And I commend you, and I can also commend the Benefits Trust for taking that vote and making it happen. So, Susan, thank you, and thank you for talking to the San Luis Walk-in Clinic, because a lot of our fire got tested when possibly exposed, and they didn't hesitate. They did the work, and so I commend you. I really do. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you. It was not an easy feat initially, but I have to give credit to Glenn Gambit. Several years he introduced me to Amanda from the San Luis Walk-in Clinic, and I've been able to develop a great relationship with her. And I contact her every time I need something. So she has been a tremendous asset for the city of San Luis. Because she has been on it. She'll call us the minute the vaccines are available. Not everybody had the vaccine. And she called us immediately because I was on her radar. I was emailing her every week and trying to get those, and we finally got it all done, and including sanitation, anyone that was in the public works, anyone that touched any public, we got those vaccinated right away as soon as we could. So we were right at the forefront of getting these things done. So you're welcome. It was my pleasure. Because of COVID, I was sitting at home doing nothing but thinking of what else we should do. The next thing I'd like to talk about is the dental. No changes here, guys. Nothing here. Short-term disability renewed. The next slide, I'm sorry. Short-term disability renewed for another 3 years with no changes in the rate in the plan itself, which I was shocked because we've had a lot of claims, some of them due to COVID. So I was very pleased because last time we only had a 2-year renewal, and this year we got a 3-year renewal. So this is a good sign. The long-term disability for public safety, also 3-year renewal, no changes in budget for you. The vision, there's no changes here. It's in its 2nd year of its 3-year renewal. So there's no changes here. Here's what I'm proudest of is the fact that to the employee, I did not recommend to the trust that we make any changes to the contributions. And here is why. One, I'm sure that the budget would be increased, like I said earlier, to the city. It would cost you minimum $300,000 for the medical and the dental, minimum. So that would save you through about $300,000 there. And this gives you you know, the incentive to tell the employees you're doing everything for them and not increasing it, especially during a difficult year. Everybody's had a difficult year, and I understand that. And why were we able to do this? And I did go over all of the figures with finance. Here's why. We budgeted very well the last several years. We did everything to save money. We did everything to keep money. Our budget in the trust was healthy. And in addition to that, we knew that we were gonna get hit. And the hit comes every 8 years, and this is our 8th year. And we're not finished because we're only into it 9 months, almost 10 months. But I don't have that 10 months. But I anticipate by the time we're done, June 30th, that we're gonna be hit pretty hard, okay? This is just a lot of figures that I went through with Monica, and it appears like it's, let me go through this one. The actual cost, the total dollar change is $27,000, but that includes the Healthiest You, and that includes the $6,366 for the basic life. And so those two would be included in that, but in reality, this is not correct in the sense, we do it so that people can see, but the Healthiest You comes out of the trust, okay? It's already out of there. Let me see, I think that's all. This is kind of what we have already. The stop loss has already paid us about $112,000 for the year. But we have more coming, I'm very sure. And I'm done. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Okay, I'm gonna go and open the floor for any discussion by council. Vice Mayor, comments, questions, concerns?
None, just to thank Finance, of course, and Susan for looking out for what's best for the city and for employees also. Thank you.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
sorry, who was that speaking, please?
That was
Africa.
Vice Mayor Africa Luna Carrasco.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. You're so soft-spoken. Thank you.
Matias Rosales, comments, questions, or concerns?
Thank you, Susan. I appreciate all the work you've done. The fact that we're not going and raising prices again this year for our employees, to me, that's very important. I just wanted to ask one question. I know in the past we've always had discussions and we've had issues with Sierra Med. Everything looked good. I didn't hear anything negative this year. No complaints, like you mentioned earlier. Everything's working good.
Everything's working really well. He's doing a kind of like an urgent center, but it's not an urgent center, where people will be able to go in, you know, and get tested. He's not ready to advertise it already, but we've met with him quarterly, and everything seems to be doing well. I'm not hearing the complaints that we've had in the past. I think it was about 8 months ago we did an audit, and everything came out okay. And we had some little cositas, you know, little things, but not, it was about $4,000, but nothing, I mean, it was small. The amounts were small and they were corrected.
And what about with ESBO?
Oh, with Epson, no, everything has been going fine. I've not heard any complaints from Maria nor Edgar. I think that initially the first year was a little bit difficult because we have a very different plan. Very different in the sense that we have the Mexico network. And that's not always easy.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Thank you. Sorry we can't see you this time.
thank you for the question.
No, I want to say something, Susan, and I know the board decided to do an audit in Sierra Med and make sure because of his past history. And we did see the audit, and excellent work by Sierra Med, and they kept up with the paperwork compared to the first audit. No, it was actually very good. I think it was minimal. I think it was dental, more of an issue than anything else, I believe. Was that
The dental.
Yeah, it was something like dental, but it's being used. The dental is being used by our employees, and we're actually saving money, because if they would use it in the United States, it would be a lot more expensive. And overall, I think we've been very blessed, and for us to be able to still offer Mexico dental health, urgent care in Mexico, it is quite amazing. And the thing is, they stepped up to the plate. I'm impressed with Sierra Med, and they stepped to the plate. I've heard very good comments from the doctors, from the dentist, and so it's been really good. So thank you, Susan, for auditing them, and once again, we're going to continue doing that every 2 years.
Councilmember Rosales, they know that we are watching them, and they have stepped up to the plate. I've been impressed, and I'm not easily impressed.
And you know what? I gotta admit, that building that they're building, that urgent care or whatever it's called, it looks like a nice facility. I saw it. I've seen it. I've driven by it. I was surprised. I'm like, business is doing good, but that shows that they're willing to invest in what we're investing in them. So I applaud them also for the things they did. Because 2 years ago was iffy. This year it looks like everything's looking good.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you, Matias. Councilmember Ponce.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting chance to talk to Susan. Susan, I have a concern. Let me give you an example. Last Tuesday, I was supposed to. I had a CT scan, and with the contrast, okay. And for some reason, I mean, I couldn't take the contrast because I'm taking some medication that doesn't get along with the iodine. So the hospital called my primary doctor, and my primary doctor says, "Yeah, okay, go ahead and do it without the contrast." So then they call Blue Cross Blue Shield, but then this is last Tuesday, and this is Friday, and I haven't heard anything yet. Why is it taking so long? I mean, for them to give give an answer. It shouldn't
take that long. It should be. I had mine on iodine too, similar to you did, and all they did was have to call the doctor's office. So it may be something that the doctor's not doing correctly. But if you want to call me on Monday, I'm happy to call the doctor for you. But you have to remember that we also have e-surgeries now. And if you contact them, they're going to be able to save you a lot of money on some of these, CAT scans, MRIs, and stuff like that. So going forth for the new plan year, if you don't want to pay your deductible and your co-insurance, it would be a good idea to give them a call, and they would set you up with a facility so that you can not have to pay anything, zero copay. So we've adjusted the plan so well. It's brand new, and it's just something that if you can work with, it's going to be better your next plan year, especially if you've already paid your deductible. But you should not have a problem with that, and I'm happy to help you with it on Monday.
Yeah, I did call my primary doctor, and they said they were waiting for the insurance to reply for them. But I mean, that's fine. I'll make double check on Monday. But I'd like to thank the finance department. I mean, to work on this program, and thank you, Susan, for the good job for doing for our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ponce. Gloria Torres.
No, Mayor, no comment. Just thank you, Susan, for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Marty Buchanan Jr.
Yes, thank you, Susan, for your presentation. And, as you always have done, looking for the best of our employees. I mean, they're blessed to have this type of insurance, and coverage for them and their families. So I thank you very much for that. And thank you for helping the city of San Luis also.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Luis Carrera.
Good evening, Susan. I just want to say thank you. I'm really glad that the prices are staying the same. There's not really any changes for the employees. That's always a plus. I just want to say thank you, Monica, for the hard work and your collaboration with Ms. Posada for the benefits trust. Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, Susan, thank you for the presentation, and not only thank the finance department, but also I have to thank the benefits board. It's made up of different, basically leaders or presidents or CEOs of different companies in the city, and they're very pro employee. And the key was to keep benefits, the most benefits that we can get the employees, but yet not increase premiums. So Susan, what you did was to keep premiums down. On the average, we're looking between 28 to 32%. Other companies are increasing their premiums. And what the employer does, it actually pass it to their employees. We've been able to keep that number down to minimum, to a bare minimum for the past 4 years. So we do have the best benefits in Yuma County, probably one of the better ones in the whole state. And being so close to Mexico, it's a big plus. So I commend Susan, I commend HR. The HR department is amazing. Maria, everyone, and Kay also. Thank you for stepping up and looking at the legal aspect of it. Glenn also, you mentioned, Glenn had the connection with Amanda Aguirre, and Amanda Aguirre has always supported the city of San Luis. So it's a team effort. But the board was really on this one. And the thing is, they were really about the audit. They were really worried about the premiums, because we just discussed premiums. And one of the big questions was how much of a blow we're going to get this year because of COVID. Most companies are increasing their premiums. Let me repeat that, increasing their premiums while we stay the same. So that's a big plus. We're still offering the best benefits to our employee with minimal, monthly premium that they pay compared to other companies. So good job, everyone. This is a team effort, and I like to commend everyone. So thank you, Susan.
Allow me to remind you that I think I've been with you for 9 years. I may not know how to count, but in the 9 years, we have not changed the deductible of $750. And it's remained at the same level for all those years, where a lot of companies are not the same. So thank you guys, and thank you for allowing me to serve you and your employees. Thank you.
Susan. Thank you. You're done. Thank you. Have a good night, and stay safe, please.
Thank
Susan.
you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, we are going to go ahead and go with item number 2B, discussion and review in all matters regarding the proposed City of San Luis fiscal year 2021-2022 budget. Okay, we need a motion. Do we need a motion to start this or no?
No.
Okay.
It's like a work session, Mayor.
Okay, so I'll make sure.
Okay, good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. 1 year ago, this same day, we were discussing the unprecedented situation we were going through. This is the first time that we have seen anything like it, and at that time we had a lot of questions, but we didn't have that many answers. One of those questions was, how long would this pandemic will last? What will be the financial impact for the city? 1 year later, we are here, and we have answers to some of those questions. But definitely, we don't have them for all. The pandemic has not ended yet, and we do not know when it's going to end. But what we have gaining that this is not new for us. We have is not a known territory for us anymore, and we are living through the pandemic. This is now our new usual. Now, what are the things that we know and that we learned? We know what was the financial impact in 2020. We also have a direction of what is the trend for 2021. We also see that the COVID vaccines are being circulated, and we know that we are on the road to economic recovery. So with all these things, definitely, we can say that we look at the fiscal year 2020 with optimism. We believe that it's going to be a great year. Still, we need to proceed with caution because many of the forecasts that we do can change in a minute. And it is very important that we continue maintaining the financial flexibility that we have done to date in case that something drastic happens or that there is an economic downturn. So we cannot say that we are out of the woods. So we gotta continue working together. So despite all of this challenge, like I said, I am very optimistic about next year. And I am pleased to present to all of you the proposed budget for the fiscal year 2022. So I want to start this presentation with a little overview of what is the budget process. Without a doubt, we know that the budget process takes a lot of work from all of us, department heads, council, staff, the finance department, which I want to take the opportunity to say thank you, Rola. Thank you, Miguel. You have been a great support through the process. Sometimes I call them at night, asking them questions, and they're always ready there to answer them. I don't want to leave this unnoticed. So what is the budget process? So budget is the allocation of resources to programs, services, and capital infrastructure. And the start of the budget process starts in January with the finance planning. In this stage, finance issues guidance to all department heads on what are the expectations for the budget. We ask them also how and when we need their budget request. And even though right here I mentioned that the process starts in January, most departments, they start their process internally in October. It's a lot of work. From the finance planning phase, we shift into the budget development. In this stage, we start receiving the budget requests for all departments. And also in this stage, we hold meetings with departments, and we discuss the operational needs and capital needs for the next year. Also, we set priorities based on the council feedback. And we compile all of this information to create a proposed document or proposed budget that we bring to the budget retreat to present to council. In the budget retreat, what we expect from council is to review and give us direction, input, as we are meeting your objectives. Once we complete the budget retreat, we take the input you provided with, and we make modifications to it to prepare the tentative budget that I will be presented to all of you in June. During this phase, the tentative budget also is open for public comment, and this is where you will hear from your community if any changes or any opinions about the budget. And it's possible that you will request to make changes to the tentative budget. I just wanna make note that when the tentative budget is approved, we cannot increase it, we only can decrease it. Once we go through the tentative budget, we take the budget to adoption, and this will be at the end of June. When the budget is adopted, we have a final document, legal document, that it will give us budget authority to spend funds in accordance to your direction. Many people will say that the process, so the budget process ends in June with the budget adoption, but that is not the case. In July 1st, we start a new fiscal year, and with that, it starts the execution of the budget. And we also, throughout the year, we monitor it and we adjust it. These three last steps are very important, since we have to make sure that we spend funds in accordance to the approved budget. In this slide, I am going to talk about the budget objectives and what is expected from this budget retreat. So I will be presenting highlights of the proposed budget, what are we planning for next year. Also, we'll be providing an overview of expenses and revenues for fiscal year 2022. And department heads today and tomorrow will be providing an overview of their departments, proposed requests, and what is driving those requests. But the most important objective of the budget retreat is to get your input, council input, of the information that will be presented. We want to know what you expect from the budget. We want to know if you want to see changes happening. So please, if you have any questions through this today, don't hesitate and ask. This is the opportunity for us to really understand where do you want to take the city. So what are the priorities that we considered or that we are putting into this proposed budget? The most important priority, number one, is to continue maintaining the level of service to our residents or improve it. The other priorities that are listed here are not in a level of importance. All of them are, they have the same importance. So if you consider that we should bring ahead one of those priorities as more important, let us know. But at this point, we are working simultaneously in all of those, and which are road infrastructure, expansion to support City of San Luis growth, wastewater and water expansion, construction of community parks, and competitive pay for employees. These are the priorities that it is our understanding you have directed us. But like I mentioned, if it's something also a project or something that is not here, let us know so we can consider it and put it into the priorities list. So with all of that, we're gonna move into the numbers. And I'm gonna start with the revenues. For the revenues, we can see that we have an average of 9% in the past years. For fiscal year 2021, we expected to be affected negatively by COVID-19. Nonetheless, we budgeted optimistically for the year, but we proceeded with caution. We freeze the beginning of the first two quarters. We freeze non-essential spending and capital projects. And we did not resume spending until we were certain that we were in a positive trend. Fortunately, our expectations did not occur, and we end up fiscal year 2021, or at least we project that we want to end that fiscal year 2021 with $55.8 million, which is $700,000 more than what we budgeted. Also, fiscal year 2020, we ended positively, about $2.9 million more than the budget that we had set. And for fiscal year 2022, we are projecting a 9% increase from the fiscal year 2021 projection, which is $5.1 million more than the 20 projection. So where is the increase coming? Most of the increase in our revenue is coming from grants. You see that we have a 60% increase in comparison with our projection. And this is, we are expecting $4 million in, related to the American Rescue Plan. Also, we are considering an increase in most of the funds, very conservative, nothing crazy, between 2 and 3% only. And in the component units, which includes the impact fees and the debt service fund and the business center, we are leaving it flat. For HERF, we can see that we are expecting a decrease in revenue. This is no surprise for us. We knew that COVID-19 was going to have a negative impact in this fund. There has been gasoline sales have decreased, and also people have been commuting less. So it was expected to see a decrease. And in the general fund, we are leaving it flat too. As I mentioned, still, even though that the projections look good, we are not out of this situation, and we rather being cautious than being aggressively and end up in a hole. This chart explains where the money comes from. So of the $60.9 million in revenue, 39% come from the general fund, 10% from the wastewater fund, and water and HERF contribute 8% each. You see also the grants and non-major funds this year contribute 21%. Again, we are expecting sizable grants related to the federal aid assistance that that it has been announced that we will be receiving. And component units and ambulance service contribute 5%. And right there, I don't see it, but solid waste, that is 3%. I'm not sure if you can see you can see it? Okay. And special assessments is only 1% of the pie. This chart, are you seeing it like that? Or do you see, that's what you're seeing? Okay, that's interesting that it's not showing right. But I can give you the percentages. This chart pretty much is just represent the general funds revenue. And for these, and in this one, you can say, what are the sources of revenue for the general fund? I like to show this chart because really here you can see how much we rely on sales tax. It's almost 50% our revenues. And the other two main sources is urban revenue sharing, which is 20%, and the other one, it is 15%, and that one will be the sales tax, which will be the green one. The one that, and the other small ones pretty much is the license and permits, vehicle license tax, and those range between 3 and 7%. But for this discussion, I just wanted to bring your attention to the three main sources, which is the city sales tax, urban revenue sharing, and the state sales tax. And this, and in the next slide here, I will show you the historical data for the three main sources. In the city sales tax, you can see that we have been growing an average of 9%. Also, here we can see that there was a big spike. In 2021, we project more revenues, much more than in 2020. However, we believe that this is an outlier, and I didn't want to make my projection based on 2021. So I'd rather use a consistent basis, which is 18 to 20. So I did my projection based on those years. I don't think that it will be possible to replicate the conditions of this year. So I believe that it's a better direction to go into what most of the history has shown us. So for 2022, I'm projecting a 9% increase from the base, which is 2020. For state sales tax and urban revenue sharing, you can see there is a very small increase for both of those categories. This is not something that I project. This is information that is provided to us by the City of Leaks. And as you see, they're very conservative in the increase. What we're getting, the average for state sales tax has been 6%, but we have been informed that we're only gonna be getting 3% increase. So we're already seeing here that that trend is not as optimistic as it has been in the past. The same for urban revenue sharing. Average 5%, we're only getting 3% this year. And these two are intergovernmental revenues. I wanted to put that as a note because these are based on population. They're subject to change by state legislature and they're dependent on the state budget. And as it is right now, we have been informed that the urban revenue sharing is on the table for discussion. There's a potential risk that it will be decreased. A state has deficits in their budget and they're looking into reducing the revenue share for all municipalities. If this would happen, we can be affected by $1.3 million less in revenue. And the City League is urging all cities to contact the legislators to let them know what will be the effect if they will do this to the cities. So that concludes my presentation for revenues. For expenses, we are projecting 65.4 million of expenditures. Most of those expenditures are spent in the general fund, 41%. The rest is the water and HERF. We're spending the same amount, very consistent with the revenues, 9%. The component units and ambulance, again, each of the two spend 5% of those revenues. Solid waste, 3%, and grants and non-major funds is 19%. Okay. For the expenses category, this chart shows where we use the money or how we spend the money. And the main category where we spend our money is on salaries, which is 36%. The second one is capital items, 21%. And the third is usually is long-term debt service, but this year it's special services due to the grants. We include that item there. And the other items spend 4%, between 4% and 1%. This chart, you can see the comparison between 22 and 21, and you can see how we are comparing or what is changing from the last year budget. You can see that in salaries, we are increasing $1.5 million. Supplies is $100,000. And before, I think I want to go back to salaries. The reason that increased in salaries is because we are including there the third phase of the salary adjustment, and also we're including 30 new full-time positions. In supplies, we are increasing by $100,000, and this is because we are adding a budget of COVID supplies, and the other departments that are increasing their supplies is police and water, for water meters. In maintenance, we see an increase too, and that increase is coming for software support and Vehicle maintenance, special services, you can see the big hike. That is more related because there we put the spending for the grant. That still, we as a team, we have to decide how we want to utilize it, but I just needed to put it in a category, so I put it there. And for the contingency, we are budgeting the same amount as last year. Long-term debt increased a little bit just because now we are including there the debt of the purchase of the new land for the park. And in capital items, there is an increase of $3.8 million. Transfers out a decrease just because last year we did a transfer to HERF. And this year we're expecting to do it, but right now it's not reflected in that chart. This slide shows the relevant items that are included in the budget. There are many more, but I just wanted to put them more relevant. In the personal area, like I mentioned, we have included implementation for the third phase salary, which is $670,000. We also are including 13 full-time positions that will benefit the general fund, HERF, and water and wastewater. For the capital projects, we have also relevant investments, $3.3 million for community development, $2.7 million for street infrastructure, and also we are allocating funds for the first phase construction of the park, fire substation number 2, and fleet shop. Okay. Now, before I go into the balancing of the budget or the numbers on how the budget is right now, I want to go into some of the financial policies that we took into consideration for the balancing of the budget. One of the policies that we observe is we maintain a 6 month of budgeted operational expenses for all funds. Usually, most cities maintain a 3 months or 4 months operational reserves. However, as I mentioned in the presentation, we have a heavy reliance on sales tax. We only have one major source of revenue. In the case of a downturn in economy, pretty much if our sales revenue fall, we will be unable to maintain or deliver services to our residents. So we need to have more cushion than other municipalities. Should we have a property tax? Possibly we will be able to reduce it maybe to a 3 months, 4 months, but because we only have one source of revenue, it is critical we maintain this superior resilience. Also, during the recent bond issuance, the 2 rating agencies that look into our financials, they mentioned the outstanding budget management practices that we have and the healthy reserves that we have were offsetting the adverse economic factors of the city of San Luis, which is the high unemployment rate, the low income levels of the population, and the heavy reliance on one source of funds. So because of good management, the good budget management that we have and the healthy reserves, we were able to achieve a very good rating, but they were very clear about how did they come up to that result. That's why it is important that we continue being very careful and we make sure that we only utilize or we dig into those reserves only in the occasion of an emergency. Also, we have a fund reserve for the PSPRS, which is $500,000. And we have a debt service reserve, which is 12 months of interest and principal payments. Other things that we look into is that we want to be fiscally responsible. So we want to make sure that we have a structural balanced budget. So we always, so one-time revenues, we use them to match one-time expenditures. And recurring expenditures, we utilize them and match them with recurring revenues. Because we want to make sure that whatever we commit it is sustainable at the long term. We also have the contingency budget for any unforeseen expenditures, and we have to adhere to state statutes. I added this into the presentation because this year we have to look, every year I consider and I look into the expenditure limitation, but this year it was especially challenging with the bond issuance. There was a possibility that we were gonna spend some of those funds of the pension payments related to the bond issuance, but unfortunately I was able to find funds this year, so we don't have the issue. But I talked about it in the budget reviews with the staff, and pretty much what this is that Arizona statute directs a commission to determine an expenditure limitation for the cities. The penalties for exceeding these limit are very severe, so we want to make sure that we stay in compliance. For 2022, the expenditure limitation for the city of San Luis is $54 million. And the Article 9, Section 9 provides guidance about what revenues are excludable. So the exclusions that we have are the bond proceeds and related debt services. This doesn't count our expenditure limitation, HERF revenues, grants and aids from federal government, and transfer between funds. So if you look at the equation below, we have budgeted expenses of $65.4 million. Minus the exclusions, yeah, we are below the 54 million, so we are good in that area. Just wanted to bring to your attention for your awareness, and this is something that every year I looked at, depending on how much, and I try to look ahead of 2 years or more in the future because we want to be prepared in case that at one point we need to spend more of what the limitation is and if we have the funds. So this takes us to the budget. So as you see, in the revenues, we had $60.9 million in revenues. And in expenditures, we have 65.4. So we are short 4.5 million. So we had a shortfall in business center of $500,000. We had a shortfall of $400,000 in the solid waste, and we have $1 million shortfall in HERF. And in a general fund, we had a shortfall of $2.4 million. Unfortunately, none of those funds has sufficient positive balance to offset those shortfalls. So the general fund is funding all those departments. Considering all the positive carryovers that we have, I'm happy to report that we have a balanced budget. Usually other years I come and say we need to reduce that, but this year we were able to have positive balances due to projects that were delayed due to COVID, and also travel that we did not perform. So we were able to utilize all those projects. I can stop, but I don't know. I think this is important.
No, yes, I think this is important
Yes,
information,
and I can
Monica.
stop,
Thank
and
you.
I don't want to rush, but I don't know. I don't know if my 30 minutes are up. I know that I started late, but I cannot concentrate seeing the paper in front of me. I'm sorry. And I'm almost done, okay? So challenges. The challenges ahead are reserves, like I mentioned. We gotta maintain our financial resilience. We gotta make sure that we do not dip into our reserves unless there is an emergency. Maintaining the reserves is essential given the city's heavy reliance on one source of revenue. The second point for consideration is secure other sources of revenue. Again, 50% of our revenues is from city sales tax. So if one revenue source falls, we are in trouble. We need to diversify. Cities spending in operational growth is limited to city sales tax revenue growth. The needs of the city are growing, but unfortunately, the sales tax is not growing at the level of the needs of the city. Just this budget, we were not able to include in the budget 9 police officers. And it's, like I mentioned, these are not one-time expenditures. If we commit to hire those police officers, we're gonna make sure that we're gonna sustain them at the long term. Also, implementing the recommendations of the ongoing utility rate study is critical. This year's solid waste is $400,000 in the red, like I show you in the blocks. So the revenues that are coming in for solid waste are not enough to maintain the operations. Her revenues are decreasing and are not sufficient to build the infrastructure that is needed to support the community's growth. Investment in broadband, water, and wastewater infrastructure is becoming essential to support industrial and residential growth. COVID-19 has triggered a severe state budget crisis. A state share funding cuts for local government by being the future. This is in relation to what I mentioned, that our urban revenue share is at risk. We gotta contact those legislators. And again, we are not out of this pandemic, and we should monitor budget closely for any changes in assumptions and adjust if necessary. With that, I complete my presentation. I am sure that despite the challenges ahead, like I mentioned, the future looks promising. We have superior financial resilience. I know that through working together, we will continue enhancing the quality of life for the residents and businesses of San Luis. Thank you so much for your time, for listening. I am open for any questions if you have.
Monica, I'm going to go and open the discussion for council members if you have any questions. Vice Mayor?
No questions, Mayor. Thank you, Monica, for the very informative presentation.
Thank you. Matías Rosales?
No, I'm just glad to hear that we're not going to be fighting tomorrow for projects and so forth. It seems that it's going to be an easier process this Saturday coming up, and we're not going to be asking Jenny, I see her smiling over there, to find money for us. So I think, Mayor, we all could agree we've worked these past years very conservative, saving money and doing smart growth. And I think it's showing, we're seeing the benefits of that. Hopefully we continue forward and that flat tax rate that they're talking about doesn't go through, but I appreciate the work, Monica, and we'll see what we come up with tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Gloria Torres? Gloria?
Just thank you, Monica, you and your staff for doing a very good job and for doing a job, good work for the city and for manage the money wisely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Ponce?
I just want to say that thank you, Monica. Thanks for your staff, and I really appreciate, what you're doing for your department. And I like the statement that says, despite the challenges ahead, it says we will continue enhancing the quality of life of our residents. I like the statement. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mario Buchanan Jr.?
Yes, thank you for a very good presentation, Monica, and your staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Luis Cabrera?
Just to thank Monica for the information provided to us. It's very well explained, so I appreciate the time put into this presentation, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Monica, I just want to say, once again, thank you your staff, but I also want to thank all the section heads and all the departments for actually keeping to the budget and actually limiting their expenditures for this past year. Yes, there is a projection of 9.3 or a little bit 9%, but we need to be very cautious because one, if the flat tax passes, we're looking at $1.3 million that we're going to lose. The city of San Luis has basically all its eggs, most of its eggs on sales tax. If we get this flat sales tax that people want to propose, and I think it's going to pass because a lot of Republicans want this to happen, we're going to be in deep trouble. So we need to start thinking of other forms of funding. We need to be progressive. We need to talk about every option available because the city of San Luis has depended on sales tax. And we're going to be losing, what is it, $1.4 million from our budget. There's communities like Glendale, they're looking at losing $32 million from their budget. So it's going to affect everyone. So we need to be very cautious. I like to commend the finance department. I like to commend the different departments, the PD and fire, because they were the highest, probably one of the highest expenditures because of COVID. But thank you, staff. Thank everyone for their hard work. And it's been a challenging year. And I expect next year to be challenging also. So we need to be very cautious. We need to be very conservative in what we spend and how we spend it. But we will be fine. And as long as we keep to our numbers and make sure that it's really unfortunate that we can't put 9 police officers in our budget. And it's really unfortunate that the property sales tax didn't pass because that could have made a difference. We really have to look seriously if this flat tax, sales tax passes because it's going to hurt us big time. And so it looks good, but let's be cautious. And thank you, Monica, for that projection. I really like that 9% projection. But then again, we also need to be careful because a lot of the federal funding assistance programs are going to be questioned and challenged constantly. So we can only spend so much money. So I commend staff, I commend the employees from the city of San Luis for doing a great job. So Monica, once again, thank you, great job.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Eulogio, and that would be tab number 27.
Yeah, let's make sure that when the speaker speaks, you mention which tab you're in. Make sure that everyone's on board. Okay. So, proceed, Mr. Eulogio. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, staff, and audience. So, Eulogio Vera, Director of Public Works, and here in the audience or in the council chambers is Jim Einbecker, Acting Assistant Director of Public Works. With Monica's presentation, she definitely raised the bar on the PowerPoint. So, mine is simple. So, first of all, Public Works. We're really heavy on operations, and this pandemic year definitely proved that we struggled pretty much through the entire year with keeping up with operation, making sure all services were being provided. So with that, really our presentation is focused on keeping or maintaining the fiscal and operational sustainability for the department. I want to also take some time to thank the Public Works staff. Unfortunately, one of our staff members is not here due to the COVID, but I want to definitely take the time to thank everybody in the Public Works department that I know they're proud to be part of the department. They're proud to be part of the city of San Luis. So with that said, Public Works really consists of fleet services, highway users, solid waste, water, and wastewater. One area that's not included as a division that eventually the city will need that, but we do provide services to try and cover that area is engineering, both from the CIP side as well as the development side. In that area, the administrative function that covers that area, we work very closely with all departments, including parks, community development, finance. So I can say that, that engineering portion, it has been significant part of my duties since I've been here, just because of the significant work, growth that the city has seen since I've been here, and it continues to be even through the pandemic year. So I'll move on, and I'll move on I'll skip this slide. I just went through all the different divisions, but I'll go into the fleet slide.
Yay.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
and I just want to make a general comment on the overall budget for all the line items. I think we kept it very consistent with what we had last year. I don't think we have any significant increases. It was actually easy this year. We didn't have to make any major cuts or anything. So I'm just going to go through the major, our slides pretty much just covers the major projects. So for fleet, the number one priority for fleet would be getting funding for the new fleet shop. This year we will be ordering the building, and we will try to get the project out to bid for construction of the portion that's going to be the office space, and that's probably going to be about it. And then we're going to continue construction into the next fiscal year if approved. In the budget, we have $450,000 for item number one, priority number one. I'll work between now and when budget's approved. I'll probably work with finance, see if we can get more funding for that one, just because I think less amount of work will be completed this fiscal year than anticipated when the request was made. But if not, that would still, what we have requested will still, keep the project moving. And the second priority, it's just a trailer. The fleet shop doesn't have a specific trailer assigned to them. The ones they use, they borrow it from other departments. But the main downfall to what the equipment they borrow is when they have a vehicle on the trailer, they can't open the door, so it sort of makes it hard for their day-to-day work. So that's the second item. And then I had third one there on the personnel side for a lot porter, but that one's not a priority this fiscal year. We left it on there because we eventually need that, but we'll request it next year once we have the new and improved shop running. Should I ask questions as I finish each division? I'll do as you guys want me to regarding covering questions.
I think, Mr. Reda, I think you finish the presentation and then ask the specific questions. Or else what's going to happen is we're not going to get enough time for certain ones that I think they're all important. And I think we should wait till the last. That's why we have a notepad to write your comments, questions, and make sure to ask them. So proceed and just make sure we get all the information, Mr. Reda. Sounds good. So on the first one is $450,000 for the shop, $11,500 for the trailer. I'll move on to the highway users division. This one has a lot of projects, but really no major change from last year. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get a lot of these projects completed, and a big factor was really the expenditure freeze, and that was really one of the things that affected our completion of the projects. I'll just go through each one of them. 4th Avenue, Cesar Chavez Boulevard intersection, that one, the design's really ready. Really, that one, what affected that one the most was really the right-of-way acquisition. We've been working on that one for years, and we thought we were gonna get complete back in November, and unfortunately, we weren't. The State Land Department's working on the administrative side. It took longer than anticipated, but has been the holdup for 4th Avenue and Cesar Chavez Boulevard. And that same right-of-way affects the 10th Avenue and Cesar Chavez intersection, which is the third bullet on the list of projects. And the second bullet point was County 22nd and 4th Avenue. That one also
you know, and we know it's needed. So I'm requesting funding for that one. To go over I'm not mentioning the amounts, so let me cover the amounts. For Fourth Avenue and Cesar Chavez Boulevard, I'm asking for $900,000 for that project. Same as what was requested last year for the County 22nd and Fourth Avenue Signal and Expansion Project. $150,000 on that one. The lanes had been added on a previous phase. This is really including the traffic signal. 10th Avenue and Cesar Chavez intersection, asking for $500,000 for budget. Part of that money or budget would be coming from the developers. Item number 4 on my slide, it'll be pavement preservation. That's something that I can say Public Works is proud of, and we definitely thank council for supporting the pavement preservation program since, I think since like 6-7 years ago. So, I mean, not too long ago, I lost an assistant public works director that went back to a neighboring city, and he was impressed, with how much council has been supportive of this pavement preservation, and he was impressed with the condition of our streets. And I told him, that thanks to council, we've been able to upkeep it, and him being near 25 years in the public works area, he sees the importance of upkeeping the streets. You let them go, and it's almost impossible to try and bring them back to a decent condition, and investment becomes, unattainable. The next project on the list is Sidewinder Road and County 22nd Street. That one is, it's almost, we had a design we need to redesign just because of the improvements that have happened in that area, a new subdivision, widening. But that one, $200,000 for next fiscal year request. And then the last in the priorities, but we know it's something that council has mentioned in the past and it's needed, is the adjacent streets, which is 19th Avenue and 20th Avenue next to the park in East San Luis. I have it here in the HERF. I'm not sure if that's going to be at the end coming out from HERF, but either way, those are two streets that have been discussed that need to go in soon. So that's $510,000. On the personnel side, that having a promotion of one staff member from the Highway Users Division. That's from a maintenance technician to a maintenance specialist. That concludes my projects for highway users. Moving on to water. Water is one of the departments that a few years ago, operations were business as usual, but with the significant growth, our water demand, and then also some bigger developments that have happened in the last 3 years, including coolers, and the fire flows requirements have been through the roof for a city our size. So we really definitely need to start investing in the water system. So priority number 1 is really rehab one of our tanks, and then the other 2 priorities are two new trucks, and that one of them is a replacement, the other one's additional for additional staff that we have added. 4th priority, buying land for a well site. That one, we've talked to 2 developers in East San Luis. We sort of have eyeballed the location. I mean, that might even be possible that we can get it completed this fiscal year. But if not, I left it in for next fiscal year as well. And priority number 5 is $1.2 million for it could be for the design and well of one of an existing well site, or design and start construction for an additional new well site. We need both, but obviously permitting, design, everything, it's impossible to get everything done in one fiscal year. So I just have that amount to get those 2 projects rolling and hopefully get them built or completed in fiscal year 2023. That concludes my projects, and I think I didn't mention the amounts for the well site storage tank rehab, that's $850,000. The vehicles, there are two, each at $35,000, and the land purchase, $80,000. Next division is wastewater. Wastewater, we have a new shop building. The design's been complete. We want to move into construction. At the same time, we're working on contracting a consultant to start the design of the expansion of our west wastewater treatment plant. So we want to make sure that when we start this project, it's coordinated with that expansion. We actually had the opportunity to start this project this year for the new shop. We decided that we didn't want a new building to possibly affect the way our expansion is going to happen. So we want to make sure we coordinate that well, so one thing doesn't become an issue on how we need to expand. The next items are 2 new trucks, and the total of the 2 trucks is $70,000. Division also is asking for 2 additional operators, and mainly is because of the additional growth. We have a lot more flow being treated at both treatment plants, and our distribution system has grown significantly over the last few years with all of the new development. That's the end of the solid wastewater items. Under Public Works Admin, like I said, that's sort of a section that we cover as part of the other divisions, but we do cover significant amount of engineering tasks, planning, plan review, inspections. So I'm asking for a junior level or senior level city engineer, or not a city engineer, but a civil engineer that can assist with the city engineer tasks. The next item on personnel under admin is promotion of one of our administrative assistants to an administrative coordinator. We were able to accomplish that this fiscal year. The third, we're requesting an office support staff, just because of the additional task. We feel this additional help is needed. And the last one is a purchasing specialist. This one we have included in our budget. It could be easily included in finance. Oh, okay. Monica's saying that she mentioned she included in finance, but I guess the reason of this, the need of this position, is just because I don't know. We have about 30 million worth of sort of budget that Public Works uses, and of that, we do significant purchasing, and we need somebody that can be just solely assigned to purchasing to make sure that we keep on top of the purchasing and payments to our vendors, just to keep operations efficient. Moving on to the last division, solid waste. We have a new solid waste truck in our budget. I mean, those are big, expensive trucks. And as our finance director mentioned in her presentation, I mean, it's pretty much putting our budget in the red for that division. But with all the additional houses, our routes are longer for pickup. We're close to needing to add another route. We think we can hold on another year, but we need reliable trucks. I mean, when one goes down, we have to work through lunches and work late to be able to finish the routes in time. So that's the reason of the need of the new truck. The next item is a trailer, dump trailer. And this one's mainly, the function of this trailer is mainly for the community cleanup. It helps get things over to our yard before we take it over to the dump or to the landfill. And the last item we included in there as a rear loader. We know the budget cannot sustain this purchase, and we will have to look at it, come back in the future and revisit. But the function of this rear loader, we have it as used, but it would be mainly to cover the needs of the community cleanup. Right now, our community cleanup, we use a semi-trailer to take it to the landfill, but it does take a lot of manpower. With a rear loader, we would just load it into that truck and it will be delivered directly to the landfill versus our current operations. We load it, take it to the public works yard, load it again to the semi, and then take it to the landfill. So a rear loader would definitely help those operations because everything gets packed in the truck and just dumped at the landfill. No additional personnel at this time for solid waste. In conclusion, like I said, presentation's short and sweet, with a big price tag, but short and sweet. But really, it's trying to invest in our operations, trying to invest in what's needed to keep the level of service that we provide as high as possible with the resources we have. But at the same time, adding all this administrative personnel seems I hadn't done it before. But really, the city's growing to a point where it's critical that department heads, directors, assistant directors start looking at the planning and long-term, future of the city. And that's where administrative help is definitely needed, just to make sure we spend the right hours in the right areas. So we want to make sure we sustain the city infrastructure and be able to provide the services needed for resident and commercial customers. And that ends my presentation. I'll open up for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Like you said, short, sweet, and very expensive. So I'm going to go ahead and open the floor for questions from council. Let's see here, Vice Mayor.
Yes, Mayor. First and foremost, thank you to you and your staff for doing everything you do with what as little or what you have, and continue to meet the city's needs and demands. So thank you for that. I just have a couple questions. In the highway users, item number 5, what is the possibility of the school being able to help offset the cost with the city? Is that such a thing for the Sidewinder Road improvement? Have we ever considered?
That question might be more towards maybe Kay, maybe Jose, maybe. But really, if it was a new school, the answer would be yes, automatic. We would be able to attribute the additional
like a new
impact or
development.
capacity to the intersection.
Mm-hmm.
This is a long-term operating school and college, but I believe
correct.
that road was probably put in by them. So maybe at that point, when the new development came in, I think that would have been a good time to add it or require the signal, but probably traffic wasn't what it is now. So I think the answer would be no, but I would it's not a definite no.
It's Sidewinder Road by the high school and AWC.
It'll be 22nd and Sidewinder Road. Okay, so it's right before we go up the hill next to Las Quintas Dos. So that's the sort of one of the access points to the high school, to AWC remote facility there. And it really, it's sort of slow most of the day and really peaks during times when kids go home or when they start school. And then lines, they sort of back up significantly. But that school's been there, I don't know, since
For
like
years.
for years, close to 10 years or more.
Mr. Veda, I believe the school has already paid for or actually did their portion when they were first constructed. I think it was negotiated when the land was purchased for Barclay. But that road, actually, they have already put money into it before. That was my understanding.
No, I'm sure they did. It's part of the development agreement and all that. I was just thinking that maybe something that we could consider to help offset some of the city's costs, but yeah, I get it. The other question for the personnel, is it mostly additions or replacements? And I know you did outline like new personnel, but is it to like replace somebody that has left us in the past years?
No, anything that is related to personnel and in the budget presentation would be new. When people leave, we just say it's just left as vacancy until filled, and the budget remains there, continuing budget. So it would be all of them would be new on personnel side.
So we would definitely also need to consider the expansion of your wing if we start filling these positions, correct?
Yes, I've been losing the arm wrestling match with my neighbors there. So I used to have more room, but they've been sort of slowly, they've been outgrowing us. But yeah, the expansion would definitely benefit for the additional space needed for the additional people there in admin.
Good. And last comment, I think it's a great idea that you included a civil engineer. I think the city is in that position to think of that.
Thank you.
That's it, Vice Mayor?
That's it, Mayor. Short and
Thank
sweet.
you. Very good comments, very good comments. Matia Rosales?
Thank you, Logio. I'm glad to see you standing there. You know, you were missing in action for a bit, but I'm glad you're back again this year for our budget retreat. I agree totally. We do need that civil engineer. We need the staffing that your department's requesting, especially with the growth of our city and the east side and the spread of the radius of the town. So that's something that is very important. My only question on the priority list was the 10th Avenue Cesar Chavez traffic signal. I know that's one of the higher, for that fund, but is there a reason why I think you had it on yours as number 4, number 5? Is it because of are we still waiting on the partnership with the developers? I believe it's supposed to be Plaza Rodeo, Comité, the city, and who's the fourth one? There's who was the fourth person? The school?
So on that one, Vice Mayor and Councilmember Rosales, it wasn't really meant to have to be a number 3 on the 10th Avenue. It could have been really 2 or 4. But really, the holdup on that one, we are buying the state land that's needed at that intersection. It's part of the purchase that goes from 10th Avenue all the way to William Brooks. And that entire purchase will cover several intersections or several right-of-way for the intersections that we need to improve. But that intersection also has a sliver of federal land. And that right-of-way application to BLM was submitted this year. So that's another factor that will determine how fast or how slow that moves. But in the contributions, we have 2 developers, and there's a small contribution from Harvest Prep that would be included.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure because the traffic flow, there's so much that we're having now that that stop sign is backing up. So, as soon as we get that right away, I know we're getting the purchase of the land from the state in May or whatever it is, but once we get the federal out of the way, hopefully we can move faster on that project as well. In regards to the well site land, is that for the east side of town, for the industrial area over there?
Yeah, so on the well site, we have 2 well improvements going on. We have a brand new well site in East San Luis, which would be a storage tank, a well, and a manganese treatment unit that goes with it. It's pretty much a brand new well site from end to end. And then at the same time, we have another one here in west part of town which would be, what we're planning on doing is adding a well to one of our well sites that doesn't have a well, which it has the storage tank, it has the booster pumps, and we would be adding the well and the manganese treatment unit, and would keep the cost down and provide a significant amount of additional water for distribution, and it will allow us to abandon two of the well sites that are well site 1 and 2, which are very low production and very high maintenance because of its age, and also would be in the way of the expansion of Cesar Chavez Boulevard. So we want to be ready to be able to abandon those well sites when needed.
And the reason I asked that, because being that it's part of it is for the east side, I would like for council I would like to stress to council the urgency of having that additional well site. With the growth that we're seeing in the east side, and not only in the industrial park at the Magrino Park and with the medical mall, fire pressure, suppression systems, all these companies that are coming in to look at the land, that's the first question they're asking for. And we don't want to be caught, like to say, with your pants below your knees or whatever the saying is, because we will lose companies coming in here that are bringing job employment. So I think that is something that's priority, and my point of view, for economic growth, and especially for bringing employment into our area. So I'm glad you have that in there, and you have that as a priority project as well. The other question that I had was, well, I guess that's more for Jose in regards to the expansion for your ward of the building. I know that's budgeted for this year. I was wondering how much money we still have left over that was budgeted for that. But I guess that's a question for a different date. So, all right, appreciate it. Thank you for all the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matias. Gloria Torres?
No, they said, what's a new storage building, like the fleet. You said it's a new storage building. Do you plan to put it where you are right now?
Could you repeat the question? We didn't hear you, Gloria.
The new replacement shop, office, and a storage building, that's going to be where you are right now? Or you have your on
Yes, Councilmember Torres. So really, and it's sort of towards down at in the priority, just because, and we've asked for this, I think, at least 2 years, but we know that HERF is, we know that there's a lot of need and roadway improvements, so that's why we haven't been able to make it to a higher priority in the storage, on the actually office and storage building. Yes, it would be replacing the existing pre-manufactured trailer that we have that they use as an office. It sort of functions well as sort of a break room and / office, but we're looking at doing something similar to what the water department has, which has office space, break room, and storage, and then even a little area where they can work as a little shop. Things that we don't have for highway users that we need is an area where we can store our signs in an efficient manner, that we can just pull them out and work on them again and take them out to replace. Right now, we're sort of using the old fire station for storage, and then we bring them over here back to our yard, work on them, and then take them out to the field. But this year, we didn't invest too much money in it, but I think last year and the previous year, we replaced floor panels, same thing, roof panels. It just, I think it's this pre-manufactured home is getting towards the end of its life cycle. So we think we need to make sure we provide adequate office space and storage and work area for this very critical department that is really in public works is the biggest division that we have. So it would be in the public works yard, I guess, in short. It would be in the same location.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. Mr. Ponce?
Well, I just want to thank Mr. Vera for all the work you've done for your department, all the effort you are putting on your department. Hopefully, I mean, this year we want to accomplish all the projected plans, the projects that you got on your agenda, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ponce. Mario Buchanan Jr.
Yes, thank you, Elohio, for your presentation. Very nice work. Thanks your staff also, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. Luis Carrera?
Good evening, Elohio. Yeah, I do have a few questions. I really liked how you mentioned the city continued growth. With that in mind, I have a question. A few council meetings ago, Mayor mentioned that there's only one person who runs the water plant or something like that. Like there's one employee or one key position in that water department. Is there a reason why we don't have two people that are certified and trained to do the same thing, just in case one person were to be out?
Thank you that's actually a very good question, and it was good that you brought it up because it is super critical. I unfortunately didn't focus my slides on that area, but it is something that I mentioned in the first slide is really sustainability. That's something that the city needs to improve in our water and wastewater. Since I've been here, I mean, obviously it's sort of a short term versus, the history of San Luis, but water operators and wastewater operators need to be certified. So as an operator, entry level, grade 1, even grade 2 is considered entry level. You go, you test, you get advice from your supervisors or other people with more knowledge, and you take it back and try to pass those certification tests. But once you start hitting certification level 3 or grade or certification level 4, those are the two that really are able to make more important decisions in the system. And it's a state requirement that the operator is certified at what they call system level. And ADQ determines what is your system level. In our case, both water and wastewater, for a wastewater collection and distribution, they're both grade 4 requirements. So our operators need to have the grade 4 certifications to be able to make any decisions on the system. On the water side, it's a 3-3 requirement. So any operator that can make any decisions on the system needs to be certified at a grade 3-3. Unfortunately, on the water side, we currently do have 2 people that actually could move up into the chief operator position that could assist the supervisor, and they sort of recently got certified to that level. On the wastewater side, we only have the supervisor that it's at system level. The 2 chiefs that used to be, one of them retired and the other one unfortunately passed away with COVID. They had the grade 4 certifications. So before we had 3, and in a matter of a year and a half, we ended up with 1. Right now, we're going to be opening the chief operator position for people to move up and be ready to make decisions to help the supervisor, but we don't have anybody that actually could move up due to certifications. A big part of it is the wages that we have, or the salaries that we have for those. I think grade 1 and grade 2 people do stick around because it's competitive with City of Yuma and others. But I think as soon as we hit the grade 3, grade 4, we are behind the curve by a lot compared to other cities. And that's one thing that I was working with previous HR director Sandra, trying to look at that deficiency in our salary plan, because we had the wastewater chief position open for a year and a half. Nobody applied. Not a single applicant. And it's just they're harder to get. If you have a grade 4, it's considered a bachelor's. So it's sort of one of those things that's the reason I think that's one of the main reasons we are not able to keep people to move up and stay up ready for that opportunity to become a supervisor.
So could there be the possibility that we train, or like we send to the trainees and we pay for their certifications, and perhaps they do like a 5-year commitment to the city where they stay once they're certified at a level 3, level 4, or something with this key position? Because that was another question I had. I see you have various vacant positions throughout all departments. So currently I only see two that are opened, which are, I think it's the water system operator, and the other one was, wastewater plant, operator as well. So only those two were the ones that are open, although you have various vacant ones open, or vacant, yeah, various positions vacant.
Yeah, we have water and wastewater, both operators. We interviewed some this week, and next week I think we'll be interviewing the others for water, I believe. And the chief operator position, it will be open next week. And one of the reasons that we were waiting on that, we were trying to get the revised salary, if needed. I guess it was being evaluated, but we decided to open it just because we have too many vacancies, and operations were really having hard trouble with the on-call and the rotation of that. So,
Yeah, and then I did see you lost your assistant public works director too, and you still have that vacancy as well. You have, I know, a part-time assistant director. I think it would be good for you to work again with our acting HR director for that salary schedule, and also perhaps do like an incentive if they were to take the job. I don't know, like a sign-on bonus or or something in that nature where we could keep employees there. I don't have, well, that was it for the employees. I do have a question regarding, I see there, I know we're in the works with the street, the Cesar Chavez Boulevard expansion and the right-of-ways being purchased. Avenue F is growing tremendously as well, and the traffic on Avenue F, coming in and out of Avenue F, is also pretty significant. Is that in the works to expand Avenue F from Cesar Chavez Boulevard till San Luis Lane? You know how it's only 1 and 1?
yes, we don't have it in the queue as priority project. I know Councilmember Rosales has mentioned it in the past because there is a lot of growth over there. It's really a matter of putting it as a priority and start the design and start with the right-of-way acquisition because that does take time. I know that, I mean, the way people drive and what routes they take, you know, it's really, nobody can control. I know we did a traffic study for Santa Cecilia 4, Santa Cecilia 4, so it's Spanish, English. But on Santa Cecilia 4, the traffic study was conducted, and that's why we require that additional access towards Avenue E.
On San Luis Lane? That
San Luis
connects
Lane,
Avenue.
right.
Yeah, that's,
So those two are the things that sort of help alleviate, but traffic study said that it was still sufficient for now. But that doesn't mean people will use that exit. I mean, I've been out there in the evening, you know, on 7, coming back from an inspection or something, and I have seen the lines on waiting for the signal to turn green. So it's a matter of just making it a priority and adding on to that list of projects. One of the things with HERF, I mean, usually my list exceeds the budget, and I think this year is no exception. And I sort of leave it up to council and as a group to decide which ones are the priority projects.
yeah, because I think that's something that also is a priority, and yeah, I do recall a conversation where Councilmember Rosales said something regarding that as well. And I didn't see it here. That's why I was curious to know if that was, so if it's not in this budget retreat, then it won't happen until the following.
No,
So like nothing's gonna get started. Because I know it's expensive, but I know that it's also not significantly much road that would have to be built because it would be from Cesar Chavez Boulevard to San Luis Lane. Because Avenue F from San Luis Lane all the way to County 24th is already pretty wide.
Yes, it's 5 lanes.
Yeah.
So no, actually the retreat, as Finance Director mentioned, it's really something that we put on the table, but I mean, it could be added if it's made a priority. The other thing is, I mean, this fiscal year, we can start with the design and land acquisition, and we can be ready for year 2023 for construction. Because that's one of the things that with lacking staff, sometimes it's hard to get everything going at the same time. Usually bigger cities, you have a design, it stays on the table for a couple of years, look for funding, wait for funding, and it's ready to construction whenever they get funding. Here, we sometimes try to get everything at the same time, and it is really difficult. So even starting with the design and land acquisition, permitting, it would be a great start for that project, and we can wait for funding the following year, or if the entire funding needs to be added, I mean, it's up to council to tell us if that's something that needs to happen.
Would that civil engineer position help you with all of this?
Oh, yeah, it will definitely help me getting things moving and make sure we keep on track. It's just, you'll be surprised how much of my time, spent with reviewing plans and inspections and other engineering tasks. So
Yeah, when I saw you said that civil engineer position, I thought that was a great idea too. So I think that's also one of the priorities that we can discuss, if council is up for it. Also, that same road and other roads, I didn't see any street lighting, any additions. Cesar Chavez Boulevard has very poor light, but I know with the expansion that is coming up, I don't know if that's well, I'm not sure if with the expansion, if that's gonna be included or not, or what the process is for the lighting on that street. County 22nd Street is also something I hear a lot of residents complain about being too dark. Avenue F entering to San Luis Lane is also very dark.
So for street lighting, we can actually, I mean, there's different ways of doing it. It doesn't have to be a specific project. I mean, if we wanted to get started on improving lighting throughout the city, we can do like sort of similar to the pavement preservation. Set aside $100,000 for street lighting improvements, and however much we're able to add, we can work with APS on the individual sections and add it. I know the County 22nd has been brought up before. It is considered a rural type road, no sidewalk, no curb and gutter. I think that's why we didn't think it was a higher priority. But for the sections where you have sidewalk, curb and gutter, I think it is important to get street lighting on there, especially for pedestrians. But at the same time, we're here to look at what you guys think is priority, and we can work on those projects.
Okay, that's pretty much what I have to bring to the table regarding your presentation. Thank you, Eulogio.
Thank you. Good questions.
Mayor, can I ask a question in regards to one of those questions?
Yes, please.
Eulogio, on Avenue F, did we figure out who the owner is?
It's,
of that section?
yeah, and I think I believe it's federal on one side and state on the other.
So it wasn't county after all?
Well, it's county jurisdiction.
Okay.
But if we were able to get permitting for the construction of it, we would probably, I'm sure the county wouldn't hesitate giving us the ability to work on that project.
Okay, and then the other question would be off the top of your head, not including the design amounts, that section of road, I mean, you're pretty good at numbers. What would that cost to widen to 4 lanes and add the sidewalk and lighting? Off the top of your head, rough estimate.
The entire construction of the project?
Yeah.
Ooh. I would say about 700,000.
I was gonna say 900. I was gonna say 900,000 with the design.
And that just a guess.
Yeah, I guess I meant, yeah. And I think that's one of the things we've always been asking for since we brought this up a couple years ago. We gotta start doing that little savings account to do those kind of projects. But maybe the design project, start with the design like you mentioned, and maybe this year if we have extra funds and start working at that, because again, the growth is over there in the east side of town. We have, right now, as you know, you guys saw your planning and zoning emails, whatever, we have 2 more developments trying to be rezoned for residential, another 2 coming in. It's just gonna grow, it's gonna grow. So we should maybe think about the design and find out how much that'll cost for this year's budget and figure that out.
And I believe the past time we discussed the Avenue F, this little half-mile corridor, I think the reason we also didn't focus on it back then because we were trying to set aside funding for the County 24th Street improvements, which are going to be partially funded, at least half by the city, and then everything else, we're going to be getting YMPO funding for that. And that project, we did move forward on the design, and we're in the permitting phase, but we have like another year, I believe, or 2 years to be able to start construction on that project. And that'll be connecting from about F and a quarter all the way to 10th Avenue.
That'll be doing the loop, the very needed loop for
That'll provide the second loop for the connectivity.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Mr. Vera, once again, thank you. And like you said, short and sweet, but very expensive. A lot of your projects, especially the slurred, I think the slurry on the streets is something we need to continue doing. From day one, 7 years ago, when you brought it up, it was a good idea then. It continues to be one of the best ideas we've had. We've invested in the streets, which actually saved a lot of money, millions of dollars, on street preservations, and that's the best thing to do. Regarding the well, we definitely need that well site. We do have that well site, but we definitely need to invest in that. Let's not forget, several years back, we were in deficit. One of the most expensive processing is wastewater. And the thing is, we need to invest in our wastewater. We need to think ahead, not 5 years, but 10 years ahead. We definitely need that civil engineer. You did mention it last year, but I didn't see it occur, or I didn't see it happen. We need a civil engineer or an assistant. We definitely, that's a top priority position. The other thing is turnover. How many people are we losing in wastewater? How many people are we losing in the water department? There's a reason why. We need to find out, figure out. It can't just be just salaries, okay? We just did this we just paid $60,000 or a little bit more for this salary, a study, and they looked into that also. So definitely, we're definitely lacking, because once they hit level 3, level 4, they're fair game. Everyone, almost every single city is having problems recruiting people for that position. Guess where they go? Las Vegas. Guess where they go? San Diego, because they get paid bigger bucks. And so for us, when I mentioned that it's critical we train someone at level 4, and especially in wastewater, we need to have at least 3 people there. So we definitely have to look, even though our salaries study says they have to make so much, we really have to talk about incentives. And we talked about it last year also. So you need help, but we need to invest in our future, especially wastewater, especially being able to provide manganese-free water, especially in the F section. We are growing too big very fast. The other thing is that the other top priority that I think we should do, Avenue F, that all the subdivision is an island. Too much traffic on such a small road. And yes, we can expand the road, but we need a second access to that region. We definitely need. How much does it cost to add that additional road? What is it, County 19? What is it?
It's County 24th, Mayor.
Yeah, County 24. How much is it?
Well, the estimates around, my estimate with a non-federal, non-Davis-Bacon wage, I think it's about I didn't look at that number before today's meeting, but I would guess 1.4 million. And I think ADOT's estimate using prevailing wages was a little bit over 2 million.
Yeah.
But I think a little bit over $1 million should cover that connection.
Because we really need to invest in that. We can talk, because expansion, when we talk about expansion on Juan Sanchez Boulevard, I mean, it's already 35 million?
Yes.
And that's not including the expansion where they're talking about right now. And so traffic is 3-4 times more than it was 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And the thing is, it's another island. When we have an accident in that area, everything, the Cesar Chavez Boulevard is just stopped. It's locked. No one can come in, no one can go out. And we need to think ahead. We need to think. We need to be proactive. We need a second access where people can use, and so that should be a top priority also. But I'm worried about the turnover. I'm worried about the vacant seats. And we definitely need a civil engineer. And I'm definitely worried about not having enough room for expansion. Yes, let's bring a civil engineer. Where are we going to put him, Mr. Vera? That's the big question. And these things take 2 or 3 years to do. So we definitely need the room. We need to create enough room for our employees to work. So great job, great done. And on the waste truck, on the solid waste truck, we definitely need to invest on that one, because those were the biggest investments we had to do when water raised up because we had to. And the thing is, I see them working, and our waste trucks are looking pretty old now. And so we definitely need to be looking at the waste truck. And that rear loader, we're going to be doing a lot more cleanups. People are asking for a lot more cleanups. We are bigger. So that gets expensive. A rear loader, is there any way we can look at used rear loader? How expensive are they?
Yes, we have, we didn't include it because we knew it wouldn't be sustainable this fiscal year because we're asking for a new side loader. But we found one for 110,000, I believe it was, and it was a very good condition rear loader. And I'm sure we can find more economical ones. We would just have to really do the research and try to find them. And the thing with rear loaders is sometimes cities go away with that service because they either contract it out or they just do only side loaders. And sometimes they sell their trucks fairly economical. But our quick search that we did for the budget, we found one for $110,000.
I mean, we're wasting a lot of time and effort and manpower when we do those cleanups.
Sorry, Mayor. I'm being corrected. It is included in this year, so we do have it included in the budget. I thought you did, and thank you for mentioning it because it's important, especially for waste, especially for the cleanup. People have been asking for more cleanup, but I see the work. I see you're hauling stuff on a trailer, and that's not efficient. And the city is growing, and we definitely need to invest in our infrastructure. Very, very important. So, no, thank you, Mr. Vera. I really appreciate it. But we definitely need that civil engineer. We definitely need to recruit level 4s, level 3s, and we definitely have to give that opportunity to our employees. We need to look why we're losing employees also. If we need to modify the salary adjustment, we can. Council can adjust that also. The salary survey is just the guide. It is not the Bible. Okay, we're not going to lose employees because they're going to be paid $2 more somewhere else. So we definitely need to look at retention. Not only that, but in different departments also. But wastewater, it's critical. Water, very critical. And the thing is, we're required by law. We don't want to be, let's say, for example, someone gets hit with COVID, and then we lose our level 4. What's going to happen then? So it gets really expensive very quick, very fast. So let's not be behind the ball and look at that, okay? We have to find, if we have to modify that salary, we have to. It's a mandatory. And don't tell me that the salary survey say this. We're in crisis mode right now, especially in that area. But we definitely need to keep our employees happy. We definitely need to see what's going on with that, okay? So it's a lot of work. I know, Mr. Vera, working is just a lot of work, but I appreciate everything you do. I appreciate for saving us money because you save millions. You have saved the city millions of dollars, Mr. Vera. Your ideas. Now, if we have another civil engineer, imagine how much money we could save. So definitely, it should be another civil engineer should be a top priority also. So thank you, Mr. Vera, and we really need that well site. Okay?
Mayor, before we close the discussion, I have another question for Eulogio. So all of the items you presented, then we have funding for, Monica, is that correct? So everything on the capital project?
No, we don't. I can't listen, Monica.
So what she said is that all the projects moved on to the continuation of the budget, but I think the right answer is we do exceed the budget, the revenues.
Allocation.
But what has happened is many times not every single line item that's in the budget gets expended, so it sort of gets balanced out. But for example, if we needed to add, let's say, the design for Avenue F, I mean, we could, and we just reduce something in the budget, in that same budget. That's what normally finance requests us to do. We'll find that funds to balance it out.
And this is my first budget retreat. So when does this happen? When do you guys get together again after we meet, or how do you guys decide what's going to be in the final tentative budget?
Well, right now, that's the purpose of the budget retreat, getting your input, feedback. We go back to the drawing board, anything that we might have overlooked and that it's stated as a priority, we come back and we figure it out on how to make it. So it is important that council voices their opinion when there's an important project, because if we're putting more projects, we're gonna have to decide and then maybe remove other projects to make room for the projects that are important. But as it is right now, for the budget of Mr. Barrow's department, I believe all of the capital projects are moved into the proposed continuation, with the exception of some positions. I don't think that all of the positions make it, but for sure, the civil engineer did move to the proposed continuation. I know that one is there.
Okay.
And all the capital projects are on tab number 4 on what are we proposing. And like Monica said, after the budget retreat, we'll go back to the drawing board following your guidance as to what you would like to see us doing, completing, and or plan for.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vera.
Thank you.
Tadeo, what next? Who's next, Tadeo? Are we done?
I think we're done for tonight.
We're done for tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so there's no motion to adjourn. This continues to tomorrow morning. So look over your stuff, and thank you so much, council. Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you, staff. Thank you, finance. Okay?
Thank you. Good night.
Night.